but actually it was the interview after that we did with Mikel Arteta, and the way he lights up about Max Dowman. And I asked him after that game, what gave you the sense that Dowman, even at this young age, could come on and change this game? And he just said, look, it was a gut feeling. And I tell you what, as soon as he goes on the pitch, he looked at all of us journalists and said, who was everyone passing to? Who was all of those senior internationals in that Arsenal squad? Who were they passing to? And he was correct, Perry. It was Max Dowman.
Well, it's a shame that Arteta didn't get the gut feeling when we were getting our bellies tickled by Man City, you know, for that 25-30 minute period, especially when we was 2-0 down. I was saying you should put him on because there's negativity from the Arsenal fans in the stadium. It's understandable, a bit of anxiety. But when he gets the ball, he gives everybody a lift. And the thing as well is, I thought he would be about 5'7", 5'8", because of his balance and his poise. Those sort of players who have that low centre of gravity are normally, you know, worst rate's 5'9". He's 6 foot. So obviously they've got to manage the way that he grows into his body, because you have little growth spurts, which Arsenal are very good at doing from the Hale End Academy into the first team, which they've done with going as far back obviously as Jack Wilshere and then Bukayo Saka and Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Ranieri. So he'll be managed, but he would have had no doubts about putting him in this first 11 today, because as well, this pitch isn't the old Horse of the Year show pitch. Remember when they used to have it at Wembley, Horse of the Year show, and then you have all like hoof marks all over. When he played at Mansfield, and Max Dowman was Arsenal's best player on the day on a pitch that he would probably never played on that sort of surface. So I would say he's just playing free, and he's just a joy to watch.
You mentioned that League Cup final there. Obviously, Arsenal were poor in that game, probably the poorest performance of the season, you could argue. How much do you feel that an upset tonight up against Championship Southampton could knock a bit of morale heading into that Premier League run-in? But I think because, Perry, they'd have been knocked out of 2 competitions in very quick succession.
Yeah, but also would it be the outside noise as well, and quite rightly too. You get your bellies tickled in the Carabao Cup final, where Arsenal went miles too passive and let Man City sort of just play, and Man City had that line of 4 where we didn't go long quick enough. So this is all about momentum. It's all about momentum coming back from obviously the international break. If I was Mikel Arteta down at London Coney, they've got their the room where you go and do all the analysis. So they've got a massive screen up. It's like going into the cinema basically. I would have sat them down, and they would have thought they was going to go through the tactics about tonight's game. I'd have played the Man City celebrations. Obviously they stayed and watched on the pitch, but I'd reminded them. And I'd have played the little clip of Cherky when he was keeping it up and, you know, taking the mick. I'd have reminded them of that and said, is that what you want from now to the rest of the season? You have 7 weeks. This is going to be the biggest 7 weeks of your club career. This might not come round. I hope as an Arsenal fan it does. This might not come round again. So this is where you've got to think, don't get to the end of the season and think, what if? So the Arsenal players and Mikel Arteta as well, they have to go for it. They have to go on the front foot. They have to be aggressive, because if it turns into a basketball game today against Southampton, Arsenal individually have better players. So you want it to be expansive, and then your more creative players have got more chance of getting themselves on the ball.
I tell you what though, Southampton are in excellent form, unbeaten in 14 games. How do you feel that they can threaten Arsenal tonight? Do they need to make this into a basketball game, Crookie?
I don't think he'll come away from his playing style, Tom de Rekker. I think he will try and go toe-to-toe with Arsenal, as they did very successfully against Fulham in the last round. I appreciate this is a step up in terms of opposition, but in terms of individuals who can hurt Arsenal, Leo Cienza is the one for me, and he was a fitness scout coming into this game. He's obviously fit enough to start. 27-year-old Brazilian. I wrote in my notebook on the TalkSport website this week that there are going to be scouts here from several top clubs, not just in England but across Europe, looking at him. He scored 6 goals, he's got 8 assists. He is the player who really makes them tick, but defensively as well, the partnership of Harwood Bellis and Nathan Wood, who's in for the injured Jack Stevens tonight, they were really impressive at Craven Cottage. And the transformative signing of their season has very much been Daniel Peretz, the goalkeeper. He's only conceded 13 goals in 15 games since he signed from Bayern Munich on loan in the winter transfer window, and that goalkeeping position has been a problem for Southampton for a number of seasons.
You know what as well, Crookie? with a goalkeeper who is very assured, which he is, very good at coming across, he's very good ball at feet, then it just calms the back four down. You know, if you're the two centre-halves, Harwood, Bellis and Wood today, you think, actually, I can trust my goalkeeper. And they are brave. When you watch the clips of Southampton, so I saw them in the Leicester game here, where both teams saw the game as a bit of an inconvenience, really, because Southampton didn't want to get players injured, because obviously they're trying to get into the Championship playoff positions, and Leicester had the relegation back on their minds. But as I said, they push the two fullbacks high and wide, and what happens is Harwood, Bellis and Wood, they will get a lot of the ball, because they'll split probably the width of the 18-yard box, and Harwood, Bellis especially is very good at just pinging it into Yanda or Bragg, or even into Fellows on the right-hand side. So as Cookie said, this isn't going to be a passive Southampton side here today, but what they do is when they're out of possession, especially in the wide, it's Fellows and Cienza, they protect Manning and Bree, the two fullbacks. And you look in those 14 games where they've gone unbeaten, they've only conceded 9 goals, they've had 7 clean sheets. So what that means is the whole team is basically working their socks off.
The highest save percentage in the Championship, Daniel Peretz, since joining on loan in January. You're right, Cricky, has been a key signing, and it could be crucial tonight. I just want a word on Tonder Eckert from you. Obviously, he's 33. What a job he has done so far. And we can point, can't we, at Sport Republic for some very poor decision making over their tenure as the Southampton ownership, including last season, including the hire of Will Still. It means that they're pushing for the playoffs. They could have been in an even better position. Do they deserve some credit for giving the chance to Tonder Eckert?
Well, I think he earned the chance with how well he did during that caretaker stint. And I don't want to say they've stumbled upon him, because I think the long-term succession plan actually was that he would always be promoted from his role in the lower age groups to become the manager at some stage. They didn't expect it to happen so quickly, because obviously they felt Will Still would be a success. He wasn't. He was an unmitigated disaster, and they were staring over their shoulders towards a potential second successive relegation before Tonder Eckert came in. So he's done a fabulous job. I think he's got a lot better in terms of the way he communicates with the media. The players have really invested in what he wants them to do. And do you know what? I was watching Middlesbrough-Millwall yesterday, and I think if Millwall end up in the Premier League, that is a brilliant story. But Middlesbrough losing has actually opened the door for that chasing pack in terms of second place. If you're asking who's got momentum behind them, they've still got a lot of points to make up. I wouldn't rule Southampton out of the race for automatic promotion.
Wow.
Quickly, calm down. All right. I know.
7th at the moment.
That was Sugar Rush. That was Sugar Rush. You ain't even started these jelly babies.
It's all that Harry Bowie had before this game. We're 24 minutes or so away from kick-off. Both teams warming up in front of us. It's a blustery night here at St Mary's. Both sides doing their rondos and warm-ups in the centre of the field. So with kick-off at 8 o'clock, let's take a look at the latest odds, all thanks to Betfair.
Odds update on TalkSport with Betfair. Get a free £10 bet when you bet £10 on Access or Bet Builders on football this week. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18+, gamblerware.org.
So if you fancy Southampton to win in 90 minutes, it's 11-2. The draw is 3-1. Arsenal to win in 90 minutes is 3-1 on. That was thanks to Betfair. 18+, begamblerware.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Betfair. Get a free £10 bet when you bet £10 on Access or Bet Builders on football this week. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18+, gamblerware.org.
Okay, coming up next, we'll continue our build-up to kick-off here at St Mary's, and we'll look back at the other two FA Cup quarter-finals today as a Haaland masterclass launched Liverpool out of the cup at the Etihad. Stay with us.
FA Cup Live on TalkSport with McDonald's. The Big Arch is here to stay at McDonald's with its very own delicious sauce. Available from 11 a.m, subject to availability, price and participation may vary.
Tonight, exclusively on DAZN, an icon will fall. Derek Chisora versus Deontay Wilder. Watch only on DAZN.
Great result. Thanks, Peter. Coming up, we have League Action live on Friday night, followed by 3 more games live on Saturday, then 2 more massive games live on Sunday. And don't forget, League Action live on Monday night. Then it's over to Europe for the big one, live on Tuesday. Then the even bigger one, live on Wednesday. Then it's the other European competition.
Sometimes a break isn't a bad idea. So, if ever you want to take time out from betting, use Paddy Power's Take a Break tool to pause your account. Paddy Power. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
American college football is coming to Wembley Stadium. 19th of September, the University of Kansas Jayhawks take on the Arizona State University Sun Devils in the inaugural Union Jack Classic, bringing the speed, power, and tradition of American college football to London. Get tickets now at unionjackclassic.com. See future NFL stars, along with tailgating, pageantry, cheerleaders, and marching bands. That is American college football. Tickets starting at £59. Go to unionjackclassic.com.
Struggling to read your phone or holding menus at arm's length? You're not alone. Take care of your vision with Verilux Varifocal lenses. Get instant sharpness at any distance and smooth transitions from near to far. No more switching glasses or straining your eyes. Visit essilor.com/offers to find out more about Verilux lenses and your exclusive offers.
Next.
Hi, just these, thanks. Do you do cashback?
Just need to check you're not a robot first. New security policy.
Okay.
How many traffic lights can you see out the window?
Oh, 2?
No, that's wrong.
Right, well, obviously I'm not a robot.
That's what a robot would say.
What a load of malarkey. Smarty keeps things simple, like 80 gigabytes for £10, and on a rolling monthly SIM plan, you're free to leave any time. Less malarkey, more Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile.
Listen up, football fans. BetMGM brings Vegas entertainment to the biggest games and the biggest names. Because when it comes to betting on football, we're in a league of our own, baby. Offers? Oh, you know we got offers, like bet £10 and get £40 in free bets. BetMGM, it's showtime. New customers only. Wagering requirements and conditions apply. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
On 1089 and 1053, medium wave on your mobile and your DAB. FA Cup Game Day Live. Get all the goals on your radio
From every game that matters.
The unstoppable force of live football. FA Cup Game Day Live on Talk Sports.
It is the cup competition that we all love. It is the greatest, the FA Cup. Ross Stewart, he takes a long run up. Stewart, the goalkeeper goes the right way, but he can't keep it out. And Southampton are heading for the FA Cup quarter-finals.
Stay humble, head down, keep working. That's what it's about.
Latest Arsenal corner flicked on again. Elling's in again. It's a Gabriel Martinelli hat-trick.
The urgency to get prepared, to translate the message that you want, to make the right decisions, and to make sure that we arrive into any game in the best possible way. It's enough.
This is FA Cup Game Day exclusive. I'm Ollie Klink. We're just under 18 minutes away from kick-off here at St Mary's. Championship Southampton taking on Premier League leaders Arsenal in the FA Cup quarter-finals. Southampton will be wearing their commemorative FA Cup kit, by the way, today, inspired by their win over Manchester United 50 years ago. Bobby Stokes with the winner that day. Perry Groves, former Arsenal winger, alongside me. Do you remember that one?
Absolutely, I do. I remember watching it on telly. 1976, Rodriguez was the captain. So when my year, Ollie, I was 11 at the time. The FA Cup was one of the few FA Cup final was one of the few games that was live on telly. Even England games weren't live on telly. You just watch the highlight of England on Sports Night on a Wednesday night. So the FA Cup I always think that the FA Cup now is getting back to the importance that it was. You know, when Manchester United were allowed to go to Brazil, weren't they, playing the World Club Championship, and then it sort of fell away a little bit. I think it's actually coming back now into the relevance that it should have, especially when we're getting to quarterfinals and semi-finals. I could tell you the FA Cup winners from 1970 to 1980. I couldn't tell you the old First Division, because the FA Cup was the main trophy to win back then.
And the big day, wasn't it, in the football calendar?
The whole day.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. And we still love the FA Cup. Of course, here on TalkSport, we brought you 2 quarterfinals already so far this afternoon, including Manchester City battering Liverpool by 4-0. There was a hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Let's hear from him. He was speaking to TalkSport's Mickey Gray about winning trophies, and that's what's expected from the players.
Of course, you have to win trophies. That's the standard. Last season we won the Community Shield. We lost the FA Cup final, and we have to be there. We have to be able to win trophies. We can still achieve a lot of great things this season, so we have to keep going, and we have to take game by game. In a week there's a final, in 2 weeks hopefully there's a finally a home against Arsenal, and take game by game.
And the Liverpool manager Arne Slot wasn't in the best mood. He told Mickey that all the focus is now on the Champions League.
I think I've said many times there are 3 things to play for. There was FA Cup, Champions League, and qualifying for the Champions League. Now, we've lost here today in the FA Cup. There now are 2 objectives to play for, and that's Champions League and qualifying for the Champions League.
It's only the European champions up next, PSG away. That'll be live on TalkSport at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, the first leg of their quarter-final. Perry, where do you think this defeat leaves Arne Slot?
I think if they get themselves into Champions League positions, I think his job is safe. I think if he doesn't, then there will be questions asked. But I think he's probably got enough in the bank, obviously, for winning the Premier League last season, which was unexpected, obviously, taken over from Jurgen Klopp, where he went in, he didn't show any ego, he just tweaked a little bit, and he made sure that they had 2 holding midfield players, when everybody else was like flying forward. But if they don't get in the Champions League spots, I think he could be gone. And there's a lot of different reasons around why Liverpool, obviously, the Diogo Jota situation must have affected the players, really deeply. Then, like Isaac obviously coming in, not being fit. Van Dijk, it's like his legs are falling off. Mo Salah, like his legs are falling off. But predominantly, I think that Liverpool players have lost their hunger. This is, and it then highlights the brilliance of Pep Guardiola. I know that Man City have a lot of money and they go and buy the best players, but to keep driving them on season after season after season, that very rarely happens. And what Liverpool had, they've had a drop-off in their hunger and desire. And if they defend, the first half hour against Man City, they was fairly even. Mo Salah had a great chance. Last season, he scores that. This season, sometimes your brain tells your body and legs to do stuff that they can't do. I think Mo Salah's brain's actually calmed down a little bit, because when he took that extra touch and he skewed it completely into the target, that doesn't happen halfway through last season. He was getting goals and getting into out of trouble when they were falling behind in games. So there's probably about 5 or 6 different reasons, why Liverpool are where they are. But I can tell you one thing: if they defend like they did for the last hour against Man City, against PSG, that could be a very, very long and painful night, because they actually gave up is pretty strong, but let's put it away, they didn't make that hour competitive when they conceded that Haaland penalty. Then they just set off Man City, they let them play. You could tell that they didn't have that desire, and there was no personal professional pride. If your team's getting beat 1-0, 2-0, 3, whatever, you've got to make sure that when you come off the pitch and the manager is pointing fingers, that he can't point at you and say you could have done more. And Arne Slot's interview that you had, where they asked him, did he have the hairdryer treatment, and go for the players? He went, well, no, there actually is no point. It's like your dad when he says, no, I'm not angry with you, I'm disappointed. And you let them sit with it, and then you obviously have a chat with them tomorrow. But their attitude in that last hour wasn't good.
It comes down to mentality, isn't it? I mean, you say Mo Salah's legs have gone.
Yep.
Is it physical or is it mental when it comes to Mo Salah? Because how can you be so good last season and so poor this? Now look at Virgil van Dijk, and you're right. For the first half an hour, it was pretty even as anything. Liverpool were arguably edging the contest, but as soon as they conceded, the heads went down. Now he's supposed to be the captain, the leader of this team. I've not seen a lot of leadership from Virgil van Dijk this season. I've not seen any leadership from Konate. I've not seen any leadership from Mo Salah. The only player I think in that Liverpool team who is anywhere close to maintaining the standards of last season is Dominik Szoboszlai. Now, is that Arne Slot's issue, or is that the players dropping standards?
Do you think he'd be in trouble, Crookie, if there was a heavy defeat to PSG? Which is, like Perry says, which is feasible.
I think it's more than feasible. I was at Stamford Bridge. I watched PSG run all over Chelsea. I think that back line is going to struggle to contain them going forward. They don't seem to pose much of a goal threat. it would be a surprise to me if they don't lose heavily in Paris. As I understand it, the hierarchy are keen to stick with a manager. It's not the Liverpool thing to do to fire a manager the year after they win the title. But with every defeat, the dissenting voices are getting louder, and I think his position does become more untenable, certainly in the eyes of those fans.
Quick word on Chelsea as well. They battered Port Vale 7-0. They didn't need Enzo Fernandez in the end to breeze past the League One side. Fernandez,
they'll need him next weekend.
Yeah, who is serving the first of his suspension, self-enforced suspension by Liam Rossini, Perry, and I think.
Can I just pull you up on that? It wasn't Liam Rossini's decision, 100%, because he kept saying we, didn't he? We as a club, we as the hierarchy.
You don't think he's had a say at all in that?
No, I think he's just gone with what the bosses have told him they want him to do. Because if you're manager and you're not very happy what a player said when he's away in national, Cucurella said worse, and Cucurella obviously was in the squad today. There's no way in the world, worst ways out, Liam Rossini, if he wanted to make a start, he'd have said, you're not playing against Port Vale, you can sit that one out. You don't want one of your best players not playing against Man City in your first Premier League game back, when Man City going for the title, you're trying to get into...
Well, should Rossini be stronger there then?
He hasn't got any power. I've said it before. He has no power at Chelsea. That's the problem. The problem with their module is, buying young. They're not going to buy a player over 26, 27. So Fernandez has come out and said, we need help, we need senior players. Cucurella's come out and said, we need help, we need senior players. So the players have only said what the fans and other fans on the club are thinking. I said before, that module, Chelsea have no chance of winning anything with just going with youth, right? But what happens is, the people at the top are multi-billionaires, very successful at what they do, obviously very clever. They're not used to be told no. No one ever says to them no. They just go, yes, yeah, what do you want? They're always used to getting their way, and they're showing that they have no idea how to have a successful football club on the pitch.
Well, both Chelsea and Manchester City through to the semi-finals, and the draw for that is live on the final word with Majestic and Alan Pardew tomorrow from 6:30. The noise level is building here at St Mary's. Music pumped through the speakers, and the Southampton fans in fine voice. There'll be a packed Arsenal away end as well as the atmosphere ramps up ahead of this FA Cup quarter-final. You're listening to FA Cup Game Day on TalkSport with McDonald's. Order delivery on the McDonald's app from 11 a.m. 18 plus. Fees apply to delivery orders subject to availability. Prices may vary. Kick off here very soon. But there's also a huge night of heavyweight boxing coming up after us as Derek Chisora takes on Deontay Wilder at London's O2 Arena. Not only do we have live commentary of the fights, you can watch along as well at ringside on our TalkSport Boxing YouTube channel. The undercard is underway over on TalkSport 2. Here's our boxing expert, Gareth A. Davies, with what to expect this evening.
What an amazing night coming up here at the O2 Arena. Yeah, we've got the A-team, me, Spencer, Adam and John. Vidal Riley's on tonight, co-main event. Denzel Bentley is on as well. We'll be on TalkSport 2 from 7 p.m, switching over to the big station at 10 for the big one between the two icons. Yep, one of them must fall. Derek Chisora, Deontay Wilder, both in their 50th fight. They will deliver tonight. Don't miss it.
That boxing is live over on TalkSport 2 right now with the main event between Wilder and Chisora here on TalkSport after we're finished at St Mary's. Download the TalkSport app to hear all the action live from the O2. Right, let's hear from both managers ahead of this one. Southampton against Arsenal. Let's start with the Saints boss, Tonde Ecker.
All of the pressure is on us, and it needs to be. I think if you want to win a game of football, the pressure is always on you, and it's for us to take that as it comes and make sure that we play a good game.
We're in a position right now that we're going to make the strongest lineups and decisions that we possibly can to win every competition. We are 2-3 games away in the FA Cup, and we know how important that competition is for us.
Tonde Eckert said in his press conference he identified a few areas which his side could use to get at Arsenal. What do you think those areas are that he was talking about?
I think he knows that Arsenal like to play whoever's left back comes inverted, whether it's Calafiori there or Capier. Today it's Lewis Skelly. Lewis Skelly loves going in that midfield area, so he'll think that on the right hand side for Southampton fellows Gabriel comes out, you might be able to go against him 1v1. He'll probably think that they can go long into Ross Stewart up front, because obviously we said about him being physical, so you think that he might just go on to Mosquera and see if he can bully him. So there's loads of little pockets that maybe he thinks on the pitch with a little bit of space. We expect Odegaard to play a little bit deeper, so Norgard will probably be as a holding midfield player on his own, so there might be a little bit of space around there, but he'll want his team to be on the front foot and not give Arsenal any time to settle.
The light show has started here at St Mary's. The stadium plunged into darkness, lights flashing above us with memories of the 1976 FA Cup win on the big screens. Fire bursting into the sky ahead of us, and this is a home side ready for a proper cup tie, a proper battle against the league leaders in the Premier League. And Perry, Arsenal were blunt in attack in that League Cup final. You've got Odegaard back in the side tonight, but it looks as if he might be playing slightly deeper. How do they need to look more fluid tonight? What do you want to see more of from Arsenal?
Well, I just think they need to release the hounds. I think Arteta has to let the front four sort of be more fluid and interchange. It looks like Havertz will play in the 10. Martin Odegaard will be the one who's trying to get himself on the board, be the conductor. But especially when you get in the wide areas, obviously Max Down we know likes 1v1. With Martinelli, when he plays on the left-hand side, he tends to cut in a little bit too much, go on his right foot. So when he's up against Bree, you want him going on the outside of Bree, but you just want him just to be a little bit more fluid in that final third.
We've mentioned this great form that Southampton are in. You can feel that confidence from the fans too, can't you? And it makes this tie very difficult, doesn't it, for Arsenal? It's as much as Southampton are a championship side, when you're heading into a game like this, even if you are the league leaders, when you've been battling in so many different competitions, it's this kind of tricky tie that can be so dangerous, Crookie.
Yeah, especially when you coming into it on the back of such a disappointing defeat. They probably wouldn't have wanted the international break, and I imagine they'd have wanted another Premier League game to get back on track. But you're right about the atmosphere in here. It's not always been the case in the last few seasons. In fact, the fans have been very quick to turn when the team aren't playing well, but they feel invested, they're behind the manager. I think the first goal is absolutely crucial tonight. If Arsenal gets it, you would expect them to control possession and win relatively handsomely. If Southampton gets it, well, it's game on, isn't it?
There's a haze of smoke across the pitch. You can smell it too. You can smell the atmosphere in here. There's a huge tifo away to our right-hand side. It says Spirit of 76. It's yellow and blue. It has those cup heroes from 50 years ago for Southampton. And what a campaign they are having so far this season too. Players in the tunnel here ahead of a huge quarter-final. Perry Groves, you played for both clubs. I'm going to ask you now, what predictions have you got as the fireworks are burst into the sky?
Well, I'm hoping there's going to be fireworks when the teams kick off. So I think it'll be an explosive game. I think that both teams, obviously, Southampton are high in confidence. Arsenal have got something to prove. I can see Arsenal winning, but I can't see it being comfortable, because of the confidence Southampton have. So I'd go for a real exciting, nail-biting 2-1 to Arsenal.
Well, Perry, thank you very much indeed. Plenty of live football coming your way on the TalkSport network tomorrow. West Ham take on Leeds in an all-Premier League quarter-final. One of those sides will book a place at Wembley for the semis. Then we have a feast of football on Easter Monday. Portsmouth against Oxford from 12:30, live and exclusive on TalkSport, before Adrian Durham takes you around the grounds with all of the goals as they go in from the EFL. And then don't forget, Tuesday night, the Champions League returns. Arsenal's first leg away at Sporting Lisbon is live from 8 o'clock on TalkSport. First though, they've got a job to do here at a raucous St Mary's. Southampton celebrating 50 years since they won the FA Cup this year. Bobby Stokes the hero back in 76. But some run for them so far in this campaign. Can they rise to the challenge of Mikel Arteta's Arsenal and book a trip to Wembley? Or will the treble charge continue for the Gunners? Time to join your commentary team for tonight's game. The former Arsenal winger Perry Groves, alongside your match commentator, Alex Cook.
Thank you, Ollie. Very good evening, everybody. The quadruple dream is over, but Arsenal's hopes of a historic treble remain very much alive. It will have been a fortnight of soul-searching for Mikel Arteta after Carabao Cup final heartache at the hands of Manchester City. So what better way to bounce back than by booking an immediate return to Wembley in a competition the Gunners have won a record 14 times. For Southampton, the priority very much is getting back into the Premier League, but half a century on from the most famous moment in their history, and wearing the same yellow and blue colours of their 1976 cup-winning heroes, Tonda Eckert's men, very much in form, are eyeing what would be, Perry, a huge upset.
Yeah, it would be. Thing is, Crookie, when you can play teams at the wrong time sometimes, and obviously Arsenal playing Southampton at the wrong time, obviously on that back of the defeat against Man City, and Southampton absolutely flying in the Championship. And Southampton had all the good news of the teams around them not winning yesterday as well, you know, so they're Southampton fans, as you can hear in full voice. So I'd just like to report as well, Crookie, that neither team is respecting the ball.
No huddles in the centre circle. Arsenal are doing theirs. A sensible distance just on the edge of the penalty area, away to our left. They are going to be turned around here, though. Southampton presumably have won the toss. They're going to be attacking the northern end in this first half, still wearing their tracksuit tops. The home players just applauding the supporters behind the goal, away to our left.
Between the two sides, it is 4-2-3-1 across the board, with Brett starting in goal for the hosts. Bree, Harwood, Bellis, Wood and Manning as your back four for Southampton, with Yander and Bragg as the two holding midfielders. Cienza back from injuries, missed the last 3 games for the Saints, out on the left-hand side. Fellows on the right, and then Azaz will play just behind the lone striker of the very experienced Ross Stewart. Riza Balaga, as mentioned, maintains his place in the starting lineup for Arsenal, with Ben White on the right-hand side of a back four that sees Mosquera joining Gabriel at the centre-back position, with Lewis Skelly out on the left-hand side, hoping to give a nod towards Thomas Tuchel and perhaps get a late call-up towards the England squad for the World Cup. Martin Ødegaard returns in a holding midfield role against Christian Norgard. Did going on the right hand side now for Southampton, and a bit of a nudge in the back there shortly after on it, just to get things fired up in the opening minute, as Southampton throw this ball back towards the halfway line from Bree. It's now with Bragg just inside of Arsenal's half, goes all the way, he forces this to his left hand side for Wood. He's got Manning further over to his left is Lewis Skelly. Through the middle, Gabriel Jesus comes short for support. Gabriel Martinelli making the run through the middle instead. Plays this forward to Kai Havertz. Now back to Ødegaard, out to his right-hand side from Mosquera, into Southampton's half. Arsenal go. Now down to Doman, got the overlapping run from Ben White, finds some space in the middle instead for Ødegaard. Doman continues his run down the right-hand side, but Ødegaard takes it a few yards further forward, plays it now to Max Doman just outside of the area, takes too long to get the cross in, and Ryan Manning regroups and wins it back for Southampton, only momentarily though, as it's now with Norgard. Cross comes in towards Havertz, cleared away by Southampton, up towards the halfway line, a chance here for Stewart, over to his left hand side. Cienza's breaking through, down the left hand side, Arsenal coming back in numbers, there's chances over to his right hand side. Cienza dribbles it inside, he's brought down, referee takes a long look, decides not to give a penalty, and Arsenal come away with the ball, and it's now with Kai Havertz on the right hand side. Southampton still wanting a penalty, and perhaps we'll get an early check from VAR. Tough tackle comes in from Manning, and then there's one in the middle of the park there from Azaz. Free kick's now been given in favour of Arsenal just inside of their own half, but that decision not to give a penalty, just going to look at the replay to see there's an outstretched leg there from Gabriel. He immediately looked back to Cienza, who's gone down inside of the area, and told him to get up as Mosquera's cleared his lines. Southampton fans up in arms wanting a penalty. The referee took a long look at it and decided not to give it, and it lit some sort of emotion within the Southampton players. A couple of challenges going in afterwards, leaving Arsenal players down, but as it stands, the decision is no penalty, and VAR are having a quick check over things just to determine whether the decision on field is correct. And if it is decision that there is no penalty, it will be a free kick to Arsenal from just outside of the centre circle inside of their own half. And the decision is no penalty, and it will be Norgard to take this. And goes across to his left-hand side to Gabriel. Holds back just outside of the centre circle and gets the ball back immediately. Now out to Mosquera. Further over to his right is Max Doman. Ben White again making the overlapping run. Doman turns on the ball and gets away from Manning. Tackle comes in from Manning. Doman still with the ball. Manning again making up good ground, and this time wins possession back. His long ball to switch this over to the right-hand side. Has an outstretched foot there from Fellows, trying to feed it through to Ross Stewart, but again the challenge comes in from Gabriel, and Arsenal get the ball back up towards the halfway line. Out to his left-hand side now from Norgard. It's won back by Southampton in midfield. Coming forward with the ball now is Azaz. Plays it to Stewart, out to the left-hand side for Cienza. Cienza's got the overlapping run to his left-hand side there by Yander. Instead goes through the middle, and it's won back by Ødegaard. Turns on the ball and finds Doman. Back to Norgard, now to White. And Arsenal just outside of their own area as Southampton this time will try and regroup. Norgard goes across to Gabriel just outside of the area to his left-hand side. Finds some space here for Lewis Skelly. His first touch of the game comes just under 5 minutes into the game. Now back to Gabriel again. Norgard short, but he's surrounded by Southampton players. Has to play it immediately out to Mosquera to his right-hand side. Mosquera back inside. This time Norgard's found himself some space, and it's opening up in front of him too. Through the middle now for Ødegaard. Ødegaard's got Doman to his right-hand side. Goes direct towards Jesus, but all the way through it goes. And Pretz will get his first touch of the game. Just outside of the 6-yard box, he'll bring this under control. He'll take his time taking it back across the 6-yard box with no Arsenal players pressing. Jesus hesitant to do so as he looks out to his left-hand side and sees Breeze as an option. Eventually picked up by Perez. And then dropped again just outside the 6-yard box as Jesus moves away. Perez goes direct upfield into Arsenal's half. Flicked on into the channel for Cienza to chase, but it's headed back well by Mosquera. All the way back to Arrizabalaga. Rolls this out now to his left-hand side for Gabriel. Again, Norgard through the middle. Gabriel out to his left-hand side. He's got Lewis Skelly. Goes to his right instead, though, and finds Mosquera. Now out to Doman, who has to come close to win the ball, and he gets it ahead of Manning. Makes his run through the middle now, onto his left foot, just outside the area. Sends this goalwards, dived and held well by Perez inside the 6-yard box. But the first chance comes 6 minutes into the game, and it's come from Max Doman, who's playing with plenty of confidence. Second consecutive start in the FA Cup. Started to make a couple of substitute appearances in the Premier League, 7 in total over the course of this season. He's got 1 goal to his name across all competitions, so he's starting to become more of a household name for this Arsenal side as Lewis Skelly now takes this back into Southampton's half. Inside it goes to Norgard. Out to his right-hand side now for Doman. Once again up against Manning. Been a good battle in the opening few minutes between these two as Ben White makes the overlapping run, but finds himself in an offside position, so chooses to move back. Ball pass this time from Mosquera, pounced on there by Yander, breaking away down the left-hand side, and a chance could open up here for Southampton. Plays this further over to Stewart. Stewart to the touchline, plays it inside. Now it's with Bragg. Chance opening up. Bragg decides not to take the shot, and it's won back by Norgard. Now to Havertz and Ødegaard pushing forward out to the right-hand side to Doman again. Everything for Arsenal at the moment is going through this right-hand side as Doman seems to have the run of things against Manning. In his last couple of attempts, he goes back anyway to Ødegaard, but Arsenal now quite comfortably inside of Southampton's half. Out to the left-hand side for Lewis Skelly. On the edge of the area, Martinelli an option in the middle. Havertz is there as well. Onto the edge of the area now. Lewis Skelly lets this run, it's with Norgard. Tackle comes in and away comes Southampton again with Ross Stewart. Looks for options to his left-hand side. Cienza's making a bursting run forward. To his right he's got Fellows as he takes this into the opposition half. Closed down eventually by Norgard. Finds that space on the edge of the area. Chance coming for Southampton into the area onto his left foot. Excellent blocks by Gabriel up towards the halfway line. Controlled by Bree, who has to go further back towards his own half. But it stops Arsenal counter-attacking. It's Southampton back in possession with Yander at the moment. Onto his left-hand side by the touchline. Finds some space here for Cienza. He's up against Ben White. Another player that's been playing with confidence throughout the back end of this season so far. Despite missing the last 3 games, he's actually created more chances for Southampton over the course of this season since the hiring of Tonder Eckert than any other player, not just for Southampton but in the entire championship. Now across the middle for Wood. One more now towards Yander. Through the middle for Cienza. Tries to feed that through towards Stewart, but Ben White's equal to it, and now it's with Ødegaard. Out to his left-hand side, Lewis Skelly's come short, but Ødegaard's kept it himself. Long ball over the top into the channel. Martinelli's going to chase this. Flag stays down for now, onto the edge of the area. Gabriel Jesus is coming to support him, but he takes it into the area, onto his right foot, sent goalwards. Blocked, and it's turned behind by Bree. It's going to be a corner to Arsenal out on the right-hand side. First corner of the evening, and Martinelli just dribbled that in from the left-hand side. I think it might have been covered by Peretz anyway, but you can't take any chances as a defender, and Bree knocked that behind for a corner out on the right hand side. And we know that Arsenal can be quite a threat from set pieces, but we also have to consider that Southampton have conceded more goals than any other side in the Championship from set pieces this season. Doesn't bode well for them. Need to at least try and keep Arsenal at bay in general in the early stages. And everyone's surrounding the back of the 6-yard box again for Arsenal, the procedure we tend to see in their attacking set pieces. Jesus comes short. Ødegaard with the in-swinging corner from the right-hand side. Goes short to Jesus. Jesus plays it to the edge of the area now with Ben White. One more it goes. Sent goalwards this time and headed behind for a corner on the left-hand side. This time it was Harwood Bellis getting in the way of the shot. And it'll be a corner on the left-hand side this time for Arsenal. And you can tell, just by the approach and the look that Arsenal have gone in with this fourth, just for the first set piece at least, that Southampton appear to have done their homework. Arsenal just going with something straight off the training ground. Was opening up for them, and Martinelli with an in-swinging corner from the left-hand side this time. And players transitioning again to the back of the 6-yard box, obviously on the opposite side now. Mosquera's in there, as is Norgard, and Jesus all towards the back post. Gabriel looking to make a late run. In-swinging corner on its way by Martinelli, goes in the direction of Norgard. Across the middle it goes. Jesus can't direct it goalwards, and it's headed behind again by Manning. Third successive corner for Arsenal. Out on the left-hand side, and it'll be Martinelli again with an in-swinging corner, but the corner over to the back post there. Norgard had himself in so much space, just headed it back across the face of goal. It was a clear header then for Gabriel Jesus, but he couldn't divert it goalwards. And again, Manning couldn't take a chance and headed it behind. Swinging corner on its way. Everyone surrounding the 6-yard box for Arsenal. Towards the back post it goes. This time it's Gabriel Jesus with the free header. Attacking header down on the ground. Takes the bounce into the arms of Peretz in the 6-yard box, who just slows down the Arsenal momentum. Rolls this out now to Harwood Bellis. Takes it to the edge of the area. And then plays it all the way across the middle for Wood. Nathan Wood now finds Yander. Yander surrounded by Arsenal players. His pass inside has left Bragg under pressure. And now Yander, and now Wood. Left foot clearance up towards the halfway line into the space of the Arsenal defence, but no attacking run was being made by Southampton, and it goes all the way through to Ariza Balaga, who plays this out now to Mosquera. And up towards the halfway line he goes. The options either side for him. Now gives it Ben White, who'll take this further afield. Still with Ødegaard to his right hand side, plays the ball off to Ødegaard. Now back to the halfway line to Mosquera. Into the middle for Gabriel. Norgard opening up some space through the middle, and that's where Lewis Skelly plays his pass. Norgard gives it back to Mosquera, and now Lewis Skelly, who's moved over to the right hand side despite playing left back at the moment for Arsenal. It's the freedom that both the full-backs do get. As Gabriel plays this out to Martinelli. Brings it inside. Ødegaard screaming for the ball at the moment. It's given to Lewis Skelly and back to Norgard. It's back out to his left-hand side. Now finds the space there for Jesus, and now Martinelli. Back to Lewis Skelly. And now to Gabriel. Arsenal camped inside of Southampton's half at the moment. Now to Mosquera. Out to the right-hand side finds Doman. On the edge of the area up against Manning. Couple of step-overs. Brings it onto his left foot. Crossing towards the middle. It's nearly made its way through to Jesus, but the line's been cleared by Bragg. Up towards the halfway line on the right hand side, and a run's been made here by Stewart, who's up against Gabriel. Brings the ball down, waits for some support and gets it. Switched over to the left hand side. Now some space here and a chance. It's not controlled well by Azaz. Plays it back towards Cienza, and Doman wins it back for Arsenal inside of their own half, and Ben White gets the clearance away up towards the halfway line. Havertz can't win the header. It's brought down by Jesus, though, who's under pressure, and Havertz gets the retrieving ball, and the tackle comes in, and it looks quite dangerous with how Havertz has gone down. Arsenal wanting a free kick. Yander's the one that went in for the challenge. The referee's now pulled a stop to things. I think this might be looking at a red card, just because of the referee not giving the free kick and then changing his mind and deciding to. It might just be assistance from the linesman that might have helped this. We might get a VAR check by James Bell again. But the ball that was switched over to the opposite side towards Azaz, he tried to bring it down on his chest. Flag stayed down, he was in plenty of space, but it just rolled over his shoulder, and he had to bring Cienza back into the game, and that was Southampton's best chance. Well, the referee's now given a free kick, and I don't think we're even going to see a yellow card as a result of that challenge. It is a free kick to Arsenal, and Ben White stood over this. He's taking it short now, so we'll not see a yellow card, and there might be a red card. And the linesman must have flagged to give the free kick, because the referee immediately, Sam Barrett, decided it wasn't a free kick. As Wood plays this back to his goalkeeper. Peretz now back in possession for Southampton on the edge of his 6-yard box. Out it goes to Wood. Wood goes back to Peretz again, takes a touch inside the area. Now through the middle for Bragg. Pitched over to the right hand side. It's just ahead of the fullback, and the tackle goes in towards Lewis Skelly, but Martinelli comes away with the ball. Now to Lewis Skelly inside the area. Players lining up for Arsenal. Cross is blocked by Harwood Bellis, who gets the clearance away to Stewart on the right hand side. Dribbles this in past Mosquera. Has to go back towards the edge of the area, and it's controlled again by Harwood Bellis. As the pressure comes towards him, he gets his clearance away. Over the top it goes to Cienza. He's up against Ben White. Tackle's made. Cienza comes away with the ball, though, on the edge of the area. He's looking for support. Brings it back towards Stewart, but it's well read by Norgard. Comes away with the ball now for Arsenal, up towards the halfway line. On his right-hand side, he's got Doman. To his left, he's got Ødegaard, still on the edge of the centre circle, through the middle. Now for Kai Havertz. Run being made down that left-hand side by Martinelli, who's had to stop it because he ran into an offside position. Havertz takes this to the edge of the area, then gives the ball to Martinelli, who's got back onside. Now to Havertz. Tackle comes in, corner to Arsenal on the left-hand side. More defensive work for Southampton to do now. And another chance from Arsenal, maybe trying to launch a counter-attack. Amounts to nothing as Havertz took a touch inside of the area. Didn't have as much time as he first thought, and Fellows back helping out. Turns the ball behind for Arsenal's fourth corner inside the opening 15 minutes of the game. Southampton 0, Arsenal 0. If you are just joining us, thank you very much for choosing Flashscore as your coverage of the FA Cup this evening. Southampton against Arsenal here at St Mary's. We've seen 11 goals across the 2 games in the FA Cup from earlier. Manchester City beating Liverpool 4-0, and then Chelsea beating Port Vale by 7 goals to 0 as the corner here from Martinelli's played short to Ødegaard. To the edge of the area now for Lewis Skelly. Straight off the training ground again. One more, it goes across now for Doman. Chooses to put it onto his left foot. His effort's been blocked and it's cleared away. Gabriel's effort's been blocked. Hasn't been cleared away this time. It's headed back down for Gabriel on the right hand side inside the area. Brings it back for Doman. Plays it across the middle now for Lewis Skelly. To his left hand side, options opening up. Now it's with Gabriel, brings it on to his right foot. Options again in the middle. Ødegaard to his right hand side. Cross comes in, evades everybody, and out of play it goes for a goal kick. And whilst mentioning, of course, the other games that have taken place today, is also the conclusion of the quarter-finals tomorrow, also with coverage here on Flash with West Ham against Leeds United, and of course the FA Cup semi-final draw. It will determine which one of these two sides will be facing Manchester City and who it will that will be facing Chelsea, and then we'll get to see who West Ham or Leeds will be joining in the semi-final. Over the top it goes by Peretz, headed on this time, running through the middle now is Cienza. Cienza straight through the middle, round Kepa Arrizabalaga he goes, and Mosquera clears this away. Cienza took a touch too many. It's going to be a throw-in for Southampton on the right hand side, straight from Peretz. That was upfield, it was headed on by Gabriel, who'd gone on to win the header, completely missed it, and he'd flicked it over Mosquera, and it left Cienza through. He's definitely onside because it came off an Arsenal player last. He sat down Arrizabalaga, and then the tackle was made by Mosquera with the goal at his mercy for Cienza. First game back from injury, and doesn't look like he's missed a beat in the opening 17 minutes of the game. White inside now to Ødegaard. And Arsenal have got possession back from that throw-in, but the chance was there for Southampton to take the lead. The chances opening up for them against the most decorated side in this competition. 14 times Arsenal have lifted the FA Cup, majority of which came under Arsene Wenger, of course. And it was the first trophy that Mikel Arteta lifted as a manager, and therefore, of course, his first trophy at Arsenal. There's a free kick now for Southampton after a challenge on Fellows leaves him down, but he's holding on to his lower back. That's more for the landing than it was the challenge. A free kick to Southampton inside of their own half. Back up to his feet he is, so nothing too much to worry about for Southampton. There's a nudge in the side, which is what led, of course, to the free kick being given, but looks like the impact of landing is what caused the issue. sort of just slow things down to stop Arsenal in their step. Back it goes to Harwood-Bellis. Clearance upfield, challenge made by Havertz. It's out to the right hand side now though and controlled by Fellows. Fellows goes through the middle and he's tripped, and we'll have a free kick to Southampton again. Just outside of the centre circle this time on the right hand side. And in no rush to take this, happy to just slow things down. Really settled into this game well, have the hosts. Hoping for an immediate return back to the Premier League. Back it goes to Peretz. They are currently 7th in the Championship, of course unbeaten in all competitions in the last 14 games, as Peretz ball over the top goes all the way through to Ariza Balaga. Plays this out now to Ben White. They do have a game in hand with the Championship sides playing on Friday. Southampton therefore missing the game. They have a game in hand and they are 2 points behind Wrexham, so every chance of making the position inside of the Championship playoffs their own. Towards Havertz, back to Mosquera, out to his left hand side to Gabriel. Through the middle is Lewis Skelly, as Gabriel goes back across now to Mosquera, outside of the centre circle. And now to his right to Ben White, then out to Ødegaard. Ødegaard then to Doman, by the touchline, takes this towards the edge of the area, a couple of step overs. Beats Manning, takes this down the line, touch too many there when he takes it out of play for a goal kick. That might just be the inexperience of Max Doman with options in the middle. Perhaps a couple of players were hoping for the ball in sooner. I know Gabriel Jesus looks with his reaction like that's exactly what he was hoping for and expecting from the youngster. A bright start down that right hand side for Max Doman as away it goes by Harwood-Bellis. Down the right hand side, pass inside now to Yander. Yander over the top to Fellows. Brings us down in front of the technical area. Back into his own half he goes to Bree. And then all the way back to Harwood-Bellis on the edge of the goalkeeper's area. To his left hand side now for Wood. Wood all the way back to Peretz, just outside of the 6-yard box. His clearance has taken a nick there off of Jesus. It can't be kept in play on this left hand side by Manning. And out of play it goes for an Arsenal throw-in. Inside of Southampton's half. Ben White over to take this, throws it back towards the halfway line to Mosquera, lets this run into Arsenal's half, and plays it across now to Gabriel. One more it goes now to Kai Havertz. Down the line to Martinelli, has to come to meet this, he's turned on the ball though and got away from Bree. Down the left hand side, up against Bree, dribbles this inside onto the edge of the area, a couple of step overs and he's surrounded now by 3 Southampton players, and it's the home side that come away with the ball. The clearance made by Bragg, out of play for a throw in front of the Southampton bench, taken by Lewis Skelly quickly. Gives it to Havertz and then back to Lewis Skelly and now Mosquera. Now to Ødegaard, out to his right hand side has Ben White, inside it goes to Norgard, then out to his left for Gabriel, then Norgard. Over the top into space for Doman. Doman on the edge of the area. Manning closes him down, tries to cut the angle short. Manning takes this to the area. Now to Ben White, inside to Kai Havertz. First touch can't line up a shot. And away it goes by Manning on the left hand side. Controlled by Ødegaard, again with Arsenal in the ascendancy. Dribbles this through the middle past Stewart. Still with Ødegaard again. To his left hand side, no option. To his right, he's still got Doman. Lets this run now for Ben White. Flag stays down on the edge of the area. Cross comes in from Ben White. Wants a handball. Corner's what's been given. I think that would be harsh to give a penalty against Cienza in those circumstances. He's got his arms tucked in. He's got his left arm maybe up slightly. Seen them given. And Cienza's just indicating to Ben White that his arms were tucked in, and Ben White's got a very different opinion of the situation, but the decision is a corner. A bit more defensive work for Southampton to do as we reach the 23rd minute in this game at St Mary's. A swinging corner on its way from Martin Ødegaard. Of course, this was a Premier League fixture last year. Southampton, of course, were fighting for the potential of a record-breaking poor season before being relegated. Now for Ødegaard, to his left-hand side for Doman. On the edge of the area, plays this now to Martinelli. Still some options in the box, and it goes back to Ødegaard. Finds Kai Havertz inside the area, drags it back, it's blocked. Ball still to Ødegaard though on the edge of the area. Can he get his cross in? Puts it onto his right foot, back heel towards Kai Havertz. One more across now to Doman, lines up on the edge of the area, thinks better of it and gives it to Martinelli. Now to his right hand side for White, into some space here for Doman, takes it into the area, beats one, can't get his shot away, it's blocked. Cleared away to the edge of the area with White. Cross comes in from Ødegaard, headed away again, back into the area from Havertz. Headed away by Harwood Bellis, and Havertz this time heads it down for Ødegaard. Back to Ben White. Still with Arsenal, now to Ødegaard. Hoping a gap will open up for him, and it hasn't done. Now goes back to Ben White, and down the line to Doman. Ben White with the overlapping run. Takes this to the byline, inside to Havertz. One more across to Jesus, still on the edge of the area here with Ødegaard. Lines up an effort, sends it goalwards, turned away by Perez. It's still with Doman on the edge of the area. Still options in the middle for Arsenal, onto his left foot. Cross goes in towards the middle, it's just over Havertz and headed away by Wood. Now with Lewis Skelly on the edge of the area. To his left-hand side finds Ødegaard. Options in the middle. Cross over towards the back post. Jesus heads it back across the middle, and there's a chance here for Southampton to clear the lines. Bragg's going to do just that. Not cleared well enough, and it's headed down by Lewis Skelly. Ben White gets there first, lays it across to Mosquera, and it's now with Arsenal again in possession. As Southampton struggle to clear the lines. Out to the left-hand side now for Martinelli. By the touchline, up against Bragg. Into his right foot, now beats him onto his left. Brings this back for Ødegaard, sent goalwards, and it's gone just wide. And he seems to have got that quite scuffed between his feet, and it hindered just how much he could capitalise on that chance and that space that he had in the Southampton half. Down the line it went from Martinelli and dragged it back, and he just around the penalty spot. It came off his left foot onto his right, and it just scuffed at the chance. Caught Perez wrong-footed, but naturally that's going to be the case. It went just wide. This will be a goal kick now for Southampton. That's Arsenal that was just playing it there while it's just starting to reach second gear, forcing Southampton onto the back foot and forcing them to remain inside of their own half. As the goal kick over the top from Perez, headed back by Mosquera. Out to his right hand side, this is now thrown by Ariza Balaga to Ben White, up towards the halfway line as Arsenal move forward. Ben White through the middle, here goes Doman, tackle comes in from Manning, free kick Arsenal. Yellow card, almost a certainty in those situations, and it's not going to be any different this time as Sam Barrett issues the first yellow card of the game. Doman definitely had the run on Manning this time, and he got away from him. It's a clumsy challenge from the left back. He wasn't catching the ball, and I think the reaction looking at the replay, he knew as soon as he put that tackle in that he hadn't caught the ball, and the free kick was the right decision. He'll be disappointed to see a yellow card though, but Doman's back to his feet and able to carry on. Stood over this free kick is Martin Ødegaard. Forward from the back comes Mosquera and Gabriel. Ødegaard's on the edge of the area. Quite a high line for Southampton. No further player back than the edge of the on the edge of the area, which gives a lot of space there for Perez. Played out to the right hand side from the free kick though from Ødegaard to Doman. Doman on the edge of the area. Cross comes in towards the middle. Out comes Perez to catch this in the 6-yard box. And everyone was back for Southampton, which of course stops him from being able to get a counter-attack off. He eventually throws the ball forward towards Fellows, but it's headed down by Gabriel. Now to the right-hand side now for Doman, who again is up against Manning. Onto his right foot into the area, takes it further into the area, and his cross is blocked, and it's come back off Manning. I think it's come back in the end off of Max Doman, and it has. The goal kick's been given. Manning's immediately ran at the referee to say that should have been a goal kick. Didn't even let the referee make a decision before he started shouting that towards him. Goal kick, the right decision. Ricocheting back off the shin of the Arsenal winger. Goal kick taken short this time, but it's cleared away and forced by Wood. Headed back down by Gabriel. Now to Kai Havertz. On the edge of the area, now to Ødegaard. Havertz looking for the overrun by White. Back it goes to Havertz again. Short pass, it stopped him from getting the first time cross away. It's now gone to Ødegaard. Back to Havertz and then to Ødegaard through the middle for White. On the edge of the area. Plays it back now to Doman, and then Ødegaard flicked through. Now for Doman again. Inside the area, sent goalwards and turned behind by Perez. And it's a corner now for Arsenal on the right hand side, but they're just starting to find their stride and building confidence at the moment. Southampton permanently on the back foot. Damon's effort was straight down the throat of Peretz, but he had too much power that the Southampton goalkeeper couldn't keep hold of the ball. In every round of the FA Cup, he's only missed one game in the year 2026 for Southampton so far, and that was a victory over Leicester earlier in the season. 6 corners so far in the opening 30 minutes for Arsenal. We'll have a halt to this corner being taken, as the referee will just discuss with a couple of players inside the 6-yard box. And the decision is that Ryan Manning will pop the balloon that's made its way onto the field. And we'll be able to continue with an in-swinging corner from Martin Ødegaard. Again, players surrounding the 6-yard box, but it's played short to Doman. Now to the edge of the area for Ben White. Back to Doman. And then White, can he get a right-footed cross in? No, gives it to Ødegaard. Through the middle now for Havertz. Through the middle it goes, and it's headed away by Harwood Bellis. Before it gets to the back post towards Martinelli, it's now with Ødegaard. Lines up a shot but thinks better of it. Finds space here for Lewis Skelly, who beats his man with the first touch, but it goes behind for a goal kick anyway. Too heavy of a first touch to beat his man in the end on that left hand side for Arsenal. And again the short goal kick to Harwood Bellis inside of the area. Back it goes now to Peretz. Chipped over the top to Manning. Brings this down and goes back to Wood. Wood across the middle. It's another weak pass from Nathan Wood, and Peretz got there first and got the ball away, but again it's stopping you from being able to get it away with confidence if you're having to outstretch for the ball. And it's brought down by Arsenal again, and it's now with Ødegaard. Space in the middle now for Doman, but Ødegaard goes it alone. Cross is blocked by Manning. And Ødegaard keeps it in place, stops it from going behind for a corner. And now Ben White inside to Havertz, onto his left foot, sends this goalwards. It's taken a deflection on its way through. It was curling behind, it was going towards goal, but it's managed to go wide. It'll be a corner for Arsenal. Just a touch off the underside of the boot of Nathan Wood. Took the ball away slightly from Peretz. Made it very nervous for the Southampton supporters inside of the area at the moment. Martinelli with an in-swinging corner from the left-hand side. Same procedure again for Arsenal. Everybody forward except for Lewis Skelly. They choose to go with balls into the box or go short this time. I'm not quite sure. This plays around as an option. Ødegaard and Havertz come short. It goes short by Martinelli. Now with Havertz on the edge of the area. Back to Ødegaard. Now to Lewis Skelly. Down the line again to Havertz. Finds some space. Chips over towards the back post. Looks for Norgard. Down goes Manning. Referee gives nothing for it. He has now. He's given a free kick. Norgard had his arms around the Southampton left back. He's always going to give the referee a decision to make, despite his protest towards Sam Barrett. It'll be a free kick inside of the area for Southampton, and Peretz of course across to take. The options to his left, he's got Nathan Wood, still a short option. They're trying to play some football at the back and work their way up, but Arsenal just crowding that out with any kind of high press. So instead this time he's decided to send players up towards the halfway line and go route one. Things aren't quite working out for them. It's something that's been installed since the hiring of Tonderecker. It's actually brought Harwood Bellis into the conversation for the most successful passers in the Championship so far this season. Away it goes by Peretz, headed on into the space in the channel there for Azaz. It's played back by Mosquera for Arrizabalaga. Has to get there first as the run comes from Stewart, and Arrizabalaga gets this out of play for a throw-in. He was under a lot of pressure at that point, and Southampton go back towards their own halfway line. And Harwood Bellis plays this back to Bree. Bree inside of Southampton's half. They're forced back to the edge of their own area now with Harwood Bellis. To his left-hand side for Wood. Under the clearance away. Back to Harwood Bellis again inside of the area this time. Out to the left-hand side. In comes the challenge of Ben White. Well read. Gets there first on the edge of the area. He's got Doman to his right. Still plays it to his left. It's deflected away, and away comes Ross Stewart. Over the top to the left-hand side, hoping for the run to be made. Keeps the ball down. He's up against Gabriel at the moment. Cienza's there for support. Plays the ball to the left-hand side by the touchline. Cienza tries to beat Mosquera. Cross comes in towards the back post. Arriving late is Fellows. Brings this down up against Lewis Skelly into the area. Martinelli back helping out, but it's still with Fellows. Cross in towards the middle. Headed down by Gabriel, and away it goes by Lewis Skelly. up towards the halfway line. Header won by Wood. Back into Arsenal's half, and away it goes by Norgard towards Havertz, but it's won back by Bragg, who's gone down. Feels like he was pulled down by Kai Havertz. No yellow card given on this occasion. I feel like perhaps a yellow card should have been the decision, as Havertz gone down, and I want to check if he's actually grabbed hold on to at that point. In fact, he's not actually made any contact. It's the shins that have collided together of Bragg. It looked a lot worse in the first incident. Headed away by White, up towards the halfway line. Through the middle it goes. Wood gets there first, but it's still pulling to Havertz. Out to his right-hand side now with Doman. Now to Ødegaard on the edge of the area. Waiting for Doman to make the overlapping run as Ødegaard ventures into the Southampton box. A couple of dribbles to his right-hand side, and it's lost out now as away comes Cienza, driving through the middle. Out to his right-hand side, he's got support here in Fellows. Out to the left-hand side, he's got Ross Stewart making a run. Instead feeds this ball off to Bree. Still with support moving forward for Southampton at the moment. Options in the middle, goes towards the back post towards Stewart. Stewart inside the area, chance here for Southampton, and they've taken the lead. For all that Arsenal have done to try and keep Southampton inside of their own half. The crossover towards the back post from Bree venturing forward. Arsenal had them outnumbered even still, but the crossover towards the back post, Ben White couldn't reach it. Ross Stewart brought it down. He may well be the oldest player on the pitch this evening, but a player of that experience just brought it down inside the area and comfortably placed it past Ariza Balaga. There's still a lot of work for Southampton to do, but it's all come from a back heel of complacency on that right-hand side. Away came Cienza, dribbling through the middle, driving forward, laid this ball off to Bree, who just moved forward, and as Ben White cut inside, Ross Stewart had space to make the run at the back post, and as Ben White missed the ball, it just fell to Stewart. Mascara couldn't get across quick enough to try and close him down. He was definitely in an onside position. It's a lovely finish past Ariza Balaga. And it silenced the Arsenal supporters, who was in full volume up until this moment. Southampton with a lot to play for in the Championship, trying to prove that they could very well, under new leadership, be at home in the Premier League next season. Well, they're leading against the Premier League leaders by 1-0, and they've been very much holding their own defensively so far in this game, as Cienza gets the ball back after a challenge there on Martinelli. And Cienza's tripped by Ben White, and a free kick's given to Southampton inside of their own half. No hesitation this time from the referee, but Cienza's been an absolute nightmare so far for Arsenal defensively. Anytime he's had the ball, he's looked like he's going to create something with it. Such a good signing. He was in the German Premier League relegation playoff at the end of last season and scored the goal that kept his side up. And he's again proving to be a thorn in the side of Arsenal defenders, and more in particular Ben White, as he gets the ball back by the touchline on this left-hand side from Ross Stewart. Dribbles it inside past Ben White towards Mascara. He's tripped. It's going to be a free kick to Southampton on the edge of the area on this left-hand side. Ben White, who against Manchester City seemed to lose and get frustrated very easily when his side went down and trailing. He's done the exact same again today. Stood over this free kick on the left-hand side now is Bree. From the back come Harwood, Bellis and Wood. Cross comes in towards the middle, headed away by Havertz towards the edge of the area. Cienza flicks this back towards the halfway line now with Yander. He's got time to take a touch, ball back over towards the back post, over everybody and out of play for a goal kick. There's a bit more urgency in Ariza Balaga's attempts to get the ball out from the back now with Arsenal. There were a couple of players, two offside, Howard Bellis, the one that was targeted from the cross, not in an offside position. It'll be a goal kick to Arsenal as a result of that. Played short to his left hand side to Gabriel, now across to Mosquera and now to White. Closed down by Manning. Ball up towards the halfway line, flicked on past Wood. Across to help out, here comes Yander, who's tripped by Erdegaard, says the linesman. It's a free kick to Southampton inside of Arsenal's half. I don't know if it's coming down as frustration at the moment for Arsenal, despite having the lion's share of possession against Championship opposition. They are trailing by 1-0, and there's frustration there from Erdegaard after the free kick's been given. Now with Wood, out to the left-hand side for Manning. Through the middle, and be chased down by Stewart. Out comes Ariza Balaga, but his clearance is hooked. Goes towards the centre circle. Brought down now for Azaz, sends it goalwards, but it's caught and held onto by Ariza Balaga inside the 6-yard box. Rolls this through the middle now for Lewis Skelly, as Arsenal again will try and come away with the ball. His pass is blocked by Yander. Won back though by Norgard. Towards Havertz, won back by Wood. Not once but twice. Through the middle now for Azaz again. Tackle comes in through the back by Lewis Skelly. Southampton still in possession though. And it's with Yander. Now Bragg. Now Cienza. Inside of the centre circle. Moving from left to right again. Now Harwood Bellis over the top into the channel on the right hand side. It's taken a bounce in favour of Arsenal. All the way through it goes to Ariza Balaga. Out to his left hand side now for Havertz. Havertz chips this down the line towards Martinelli, but it goes all the way through. Brought down by Peretz inside the area. Played out to Wood. To his left hand side with Manning. Instead goes out to his right with Harwood Bellis. Over the top again, clearance towards Ross Stewart. Lewis Skelly's up there. It's headed away by Mosquera. Throwing on the right hand side for Southampton. And forward comes Bree. Take this throw in, and again in no rush. They're happy to see this through to half time at the moment, are Southampton, and rightly so. I mean, Arsenal have been in control of this game. There's just been a couple of counter attacks for Southampton, and finally they've made one pay, but at the moment they are again in possession, and it's now with Cienza through the middle to Stewart. Back towards the halfway line to Yander. Across to Bragg. Turn on the ball outside of the centre circle. Out to his right hand side now for Bree. Down the line for Fellows. By the touchline, up against Lewis Skelly, onto his left foot, takes us across the face of goal. Cross comes in, comes off the back there of Stewart. Running back through the middle again, couldn't get the second attempt away from Fellows. Cleared away by Gabriel, then towards Jesus, who's headed back into a dangerous position. Up for the header goes Lewis Skelly. It's falling to Fellows, who can't bring it under control. And in the end, it's Ariza Balaga that just picks the ball up. Throws this out to his left-hand side for Martinelli. Arsenal desperate to try and get something before half-time. Through the middle for Havertz. Out to his right-hand side now for Ben White. Now to Doman. Again up against Manning. On the edge of the area, brings it inside, back to Ben White. And across to Erdegaard. And then Ben White. And now Doman. With Manning just ahead of him. Back towards the halfway line to Mosquera. And to his left-hand side to Gabriel. And then to Norgard. Norgard to Mosquera. And then Erdegaard. Still with Ben White to his right. Further over is Max Doman. Doman gets the ball, dribbles this into the area, feeds it through the middle, and away it goes by Wood and challenged towards the halfway line. And Erdegaard will be the first to it, again unchallenged. Gets the possession back for Arsenal. Southampton on the back foot, perhaps just waiting to see this through. Finds Ben White, cross comes in towards the middle. Out comes Peretz to catch this in the 6-yard box. And he doesn't have that same desire to get the ball out as quickly as he did before. As he holds on to the ball inside, as mentioned, the 6-yard box, and then eventually gets the ball away up Route 1. Played back by Mosquera on the floor to Ariza Balaga, who wasn't aware of it and came late towards the ball, but he only just got there ahead of Stewart. And out of play it goes for throwing on the right-hand side now for Southampton. Well, we are 47 minutes away from Arsenal going in the space of 2 weeks from a quadruple to a potential double if things are to stay as they are at the moment. Lewis Skelly throws this back to Mosquera. A minute left to go of regular time plus any added time, taking us up towards half-time. Odegaard finds Ben White on the right-hand side again. Switches this over to the left-hand side. Brought down by Martinelli. Havertz makes the overlapping run. Inside is Lewis Skelly. Martinelli still with the ball now to Havertz on the edge of the area. And to Lewis Skelly. Back towards the halfway line now to Gabriel. Inside to Mosquera. And again to Gabriel at the touchline, and all the way back it goes to Ariza Balaga. Towards the halfway line now for Norgard. To his left hand side. Space here at the moment for Lewis Skelly. Now to Odegaard. Odegaard into the opposition half. Drives forward down that right hand side. 20 seconds of regular time left to go. Now for Norgard. Can't get the cross in. Goes back to his left hand side and gives the ball to Mosquera, and back to Norgard. Now some space for Gabriel Jesus. Havertz making the run through the middle, but instead goes back to Norgard again, trying to play the role of conductor as he gives this to Odegaard. Out to his left hand side for Lewis Skelly. And down the line it goes for Martinelli. Step overs on the edge of the area, plays it back to Odegaard. Cross comes in towards the back post, away it goes by Manning, sent back towards the back post, brought down by Doman inside the area. Can't get the cross back in. We're 20 seconds into the 1 minute of added time given at the end of this first half. Brings it back to Norgard, sent goalwards, and it's caught and held by Peretz again inside the 6-yard box. And that's us halfway through the added time. Doman brings it back and Norgard sends it goalwards, and it was just too easy for Southampton this time defensively. Over the top it goes from Peretz, but it's headed back by Gabriel to his goalkeeper. Ariza Balaga now out to Mosquera, to Norgard, and now to Lewis Skelly. Down the left hand side for Martinelli. Now Jesus towards Havertz.
Very quickly, and it's not just lumping it forward, it's either putting it into Ross Stewart into the channel, or they go wide to Fellows or wide to Cienza. And they said, in that first half, a feature of their play was from the right hand side they've been in a lot of crossfield balls, probably 60, 70 yards, whether it's to Cienza, whether it's to Ross Stewart, and that's exactly where the goal come from.
And talking of the goal, James Bree comes forward, and I think a lot of the Southampton fans, he approached the edge of the box, and a lot of them were calling for him to shoot. He has the presence of mind to try and chip one towards the back post. Now listen, Ben White should do better. He should deal with it. But then the finish from Stewart is something else. And I tell you what as well, he has been a nuisance throughout that first half and made it so difficult for those Arsenal defenders.
Yeah, very much so. And he'll definitely want to talk about it, Stewart, afterwards, because it was that good a finish. Because Ben White, as you said, has gone underneath the ball. It's a great ball from Bree from the right-hand side. But then Ben White's got to make sure that he backs into Stewart so that he doesn't get a free header, number one. For some reason, Ben White goes underneath the ball, comes to Stewart. It's a brilliant first touch on his chest, gets out of his feet, then he just waits as the ball bounces up. He volleys it with his right foot low down to Kepa's left, gives him absolutely no chance whatsoever. And so that was a feature of Southampton play from right to left, going very, very quickly. And it's a credit to Tonda Eckhart, the Southampton manager, because he set his team out to go and get in Arsenal faces and close down. But when they haven't closed down, then they drop deep. But their shape is very good. Arsenal giving the ball away sloppily loads of times, and the goal came from a really sloppy back heel from Martin Odegaard on the edge of the 18-yard box. Southampton give the ball away, and then in transition, Southampton 2 passes out to Bree. Next pass ends up in the back of Arsenal's net.
It's felt disjointed, hasn't it, from Arsenal? Is that to do with the collection of players that are on the field? It's obviously not the strongest lineup, the most familiar lineup that we see often from Arsenal. But let's be honest, Perry, there's a lot of quality in there.
Yeah, very much so. Odegaard, Arsenal dominated for sort of the mid 10-15 minutes, didn't they? Odegaard get himself on the ball, and at 0-0, Arsenal had the best chance of the game when the ball was just laid back to Martin Odegaard. He was only 12 yards out onto his left foot. 9 times out of 10 that ends up in the back of the net, high to Perez's right hand side, and he actually, with his left foot, he actually stubs it onto his standing foot and goes wide. So that was Arsenal's best chance of the game. But with Southampton, the other thing that's very impressive with them, Harwood, Bellis and Wood, because obviously they like to get a bit wider when they're in possession, they're very, very comfortable on the ball. They're not frightened if it's just passed it through the lines, whether it's into Yander, into Bragg. So you'd say out the two managers, obviously Tondre Hart's going to be the happiest because they're 1-0 up, but he'll be delighted that he and his team have put Arsenal out of their stride. You know, Arsenal normally control the game in possession, but out of possession, Arsenal are normally very, very solid. They haven't looked solid in that first half against Southampton here today.
And when you look at that Arsenal bench as well, Perry, you've got Noni Madueke, who is just coming back to be fully fit. I'm not even sure how many minutes that he could play. You have got Victor Gyökeres on there, but other than that, there are a fair few youngsters on there. Should that give a cause for concern for any Arsenal fans, or do you think they should have enough to get back into this in the second half?
I would be surprised if after 10 minutes in the second half, because Gabriel Jesus up front hasn't held the ball up. It keeps coming back far too easily. Harwood, Bellis and Wood have sort of dominated him, so I'd be amazed if you don't see Victor Gyökeres. All depends, obviously he played his 2 games for Sweden, how many minutes that he gives him. But the one player that, if you want to get control of the game, you've got Zubimendi on the bench, so he was the one, you know, maybe that you could come and play him a little bit deeper, because Arsenal haven't looked fluid. Apart from that 10-15 minute period in the first half, they're giving the ball away too much, and obviously because these players haven't played together regularly, you can understand it, but there's no excuse giving sloppy passes away when you're under no pressure, and that's been their problem. And as I said, Southampton, as soon as they win the ball in transition, 1, they're very quick, and 2, they're very, very effective, and they're very precise, as I say. So you can tell they're a team that's playing with confidence, unbeaten in the last 14 games, you know, in all competitions. So the Southampton fans, you could hear the massive cheer at half-time because their team are deservedly 1-0 up.
Yeah, we've certainly got a cup tie on our hands. Perry Groves, thank you very much indeed. This is FA Cup Game Day Live with me, Ollie Klink. The score is Southampton 1, Arsenal 0 in the FA Cup quarter-final so far. Don't forget that TalkSport is your home of the EFL too, and we have another huge round of fixtures on Easter Monday live across the network, a feast of football including Ipswich against Birmingham and Coventry looking to take another step closer to the Premier League against Hull. To hear all of our live games, just download the TalkSport app for free. The boxing undercard of the heavyweight clash between Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder, by the way, is underway at the O2. It's over on TalkSport 2, and you can watch along from ringside on the TalkSport Boxing YouTube channel. And then the main event, don't forget, will be on TalkSport straight after this game too. And by the way, the latest episode of How to Win the World Cup is now available as comedians Matt Ford and Jacob Hawley speak to the authority on South American football, Tim Vickery, about Brazil's chances this summer and whether they can end their 24-year wait to win that World Cup. But what a day it has been so far of FA Cup quarter-final action, and here's how it sounded on TalkSport.
Coming inside, found O'Reilly, the angle is tight, he's knocked it square, and Haaland has a hat-trick. Liverpool are being utterly dismantled. Yet another Erling Haaland hat-trick. He's only 25, the 28th hat-trick of his career.
Good flick down the middle by Malo Gusto. João Pedro here, 2 defenders between him and the goal. Back to Malo Gusto, low shot, good save, Palmer drops it in, right on cue, and that is surely that. Alejandro Garnacho, hands on hips. This too really ram home Chelsea's advantage even further. Garnacho, deep breath, right-footed, scores. Goalkeeper goes the wrong way, and Garnacho makes it a magnificent 7 on the day for Chelsea. They're going to Wembley, sing the Chelsea support, a regular destination for them in recent years.
Yeah, packed day of action so far in the FA Cup. 2 absolute thrashings. The first coming from Manchester City, 4-0 winners over Liverpool. A hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Semenyo with the other goal. Let's hear from Liverpool boss Arne Slot now. He spoke to TalkSport's Mickey Gray and had this to say on that huge defeat to Manchester City earlier.
It's very disappointing. The result even more. Losing 4-0 in a game like this is a big disappointment.
How do you assess the remainder of your season and what is still to play for now?
No, I think I've said many times there are 3 things to play for. There was FA Cup, Champions League and qualifying for the Champions League. Now, we've lost here today in the FA Cup. There now are 2 objectives to play for, and that's Champions League and qualifying for the Champions League.
And for yourself, you've got some very difficult games coming up towards the end of the season. We know Paris Saint-Germain is just round the corner as well, but is Champions League football next season a priority?
Yeah, that's what I just said. But first of all, now we go to Paris and we have to react. We have to react to this defeat. We know how good of a team City is. We knew how good of a team Paris Saint-Germain is. But as you said, for the first 45 minutes, 35 minutes, we were very competitive today. But after conceding a goal, we weren't competitive anymore. And that's something we have to do better if we concede a goal in Paris.
Manchester City assistant manager Pep Lijnders also spoke to TalkSport's Mickey Gray after the match, where he had this to say on their thumping win.
The boys did an unbelievable job today. First 20 minutes, I think we were not closing the centre well enough defensively. They could find, we changed a little bit there. The moment then we start controlling the game, but our plan was always clear, and a big compliment to the guys to grow into the game, become bad on the right moments, score the goals, and that took the game to our hand. Yeah.
Was it ever a concern after winning the Carabao Cup final and not playing for 12 days and not seeing most of the players? Did you expect a performance like that?
I didn't see a lot of good games after international breaks, to be honest, even in the last 10 years. So it's not easy, especially with a 12:45 kickoff. You cannot train. The boys come back from all different places where a coach says all different things to the guys. So we tried to use 2 days to really train our way, to show who we are and what we want to do. And a little bit beginning was a little bit rusty, losing a few simple balls as well. But with time we grew. We could find Bernardo, we could find Rodri free to commit, and especially when we controlled the press better, we were good.
That result means that Man City are 1 game away from their 4th successive FA Cup final. They were runners-up, of course, to Crystal Palace last season. That hat-trick for Haaland, by the way, means he's got 33 goals in 44 games for Manchester City this season, and apparently he's been off the boil. Salah missed a penalty in that game too. It was saved by James Trafford, and Liverpool have now lost 15 matches across all competitions this season, their most defeats in a single season since 2014-15, when they lost 18 under Brendan Rodgers. There were Liverpool fans who left after an hour, and well, you heard there in that interview with Mickey Gray that Arne Slot says it's all about the Champions League. That game will be live against the European champions away in Paris. PSG against Liverpool on Wednesday night, live on TalkSport. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff for that Champions League quarter-final first leg. Adrian Durham will be there for us with commentary from Jim Proudfoot and the former England captain Stuart Pearce. And by the way, Liverpool legend Steven Gerrard will join the TalkSport breakfast show on Tuesday morning from 6 o'clock, so don't miss that. Elsewhere, Chelsea battered League One Port Vale. It finished 7-0 in the end. Let's hear from the Chelsea manager Liam Rossini, who's been speaking with TalkSport's Joe Shannon after that big win.
Liam, well done. And what did you make of the performance, first of all, today?
Yeah, really professional, really good application in the intensity of the group, and gave us the platform to go and play some really good football. And yeah, we need to make sure that continues from now to the rest of the season.
Was it near enough as perfect a 90 minutes as you could probably have imagined overall?
Yeah, these games are really difficult. You're overwhelming favourites at home in an FA Cup quarter final. I felt our defending set plays, our defending long throws, the the fundamentals of the game were very, very good. And then when we did get into attacking areas, we were very, very clinical today. But that's a great thing for today, but it needs to continue in any upcoming games.
And did you enjoy the hunger and the ruthlessness in that second half that your group showed today?
Yeah, of course. That's what you want in your team. You want the team to keep pushing. I felt the substitutes made a really, really good impact, and that needs to continue.
You've talked about it having been a tough week, of course, in the lead-up. How important was it to create some positivity and bring some momentum back today?
Yeah, we're here for the football, and we want to make people happy, not off the pitch. We want to make people happy by what they see on the pitch, and I was delighted with the application of the players actually in the 2 days leading up to this game when they came back from international duty, and now we've got a really, really important week on the training ground to prepare for a huge game against Manchester City.
And just one last one from me. I know you've played at Wembley as a player before. What will it mean to step out as a manager and the manager of Chelsea in a semi-final?
That's why I'm here. That's what this club demands. It's not about me. My job, I'm not thinking about that. We'll think about that when we get there. My job now is to focus on Manchester City.
Chelsea big winners then in their quarter-final, and they will be at Wembley for the semis. Arsenal have come out early here for the second half at St Mary's. They trail by 1-0. Ross Stewart with the only goal so far, as Southampton also make their way out. Just before I hand back over, Perry Groves, your summariser for tonight's game. I want to ask you about Ben White, because there was a few questions about him being called up into the England squad ahead of Trent Alexander-Arnold. He gave away a penalty in the game against Uruguay, the first friendly. He's made a mistake tonight. Is it the case that Trent Alexander-Arnold might be sitting there improving as a player day by day because he hasn't been picked for that squad?
No, because it's already been made very, very clear by Thomas Tuchel that he doesn't fancy Trent Alexander-Arnold. He doesn't fancy him defensively. And a lot of people said, well, we could give you something off the bench, come on creative. England have enough creative players going forward anyway. You're not going to chuck a right back on to try and create you something. And if you get into the quarter-finals, semi-finals, which England do, then I think he's worried about Trent's defensive qualities, but Ben White hasn't come himself in glory because he's been at fault for the goal tonight.
OK, teams back out for this quarter-final. Southampton in front.
Welcome back to St Mary's with the third of the 4 FA Cup quarter-finals of the weekend. It is Southampton to get things underway for us in this second half, kicking off from left to right in the yellow and blue. Despite being the home side in the yellow and blue against Arsenal's red and white, the reason of the yellow and blue is to celebrate the 50 years since Southampton's FA Cup winning side in 1976. There's no names on the back of the shirt, and across the front, just across the chest, is the names of the players who lifted the famous trophy back in 1976. No changes for either side heading in towards this second half. A big battle for Arsenal to get themselves back into the game. Despite dominating possession, they never really threatened perhaps too much. It was a counter-attack by the Saints that led to Ross Stewart getting the goal that gives them the 1-0 lead at the moment. So as it stands, it is Southampton heading to Wembley for the first time since 2017. If they get this win in the semi-final of the FA Cup, they'll be up against either the winner of West Ham against Leeds tomorrow, or Manchester City or Chelsea, who both got wins earlier today, as Lewis Skelly goes through the middle for Gabriel Jesus, out to his right-hand side as he's facing towards his own goal. Instead goes back to Mosquera, and now to Kai Havertz, and back to Mosquera. To his left-hand side for Gabriel Jesus, who can take this out to the left-hand side. Plenty of space to take this into Southampton's half, onto his right foot, and plays it back into his own half now to Gabriel. Plus one more it goes to Mosquera, and back to Gabriel again. And then inside to Martin Ødegaard. Out to his right hand side, he'll take this. Lewis Skelly's alongside him. He dribbles it back inside. He's running himself into trouble here as Ross Stewart follows him. Taking this towards Azaz through the middle. He's playing now as more of the lone striker, with Stewart playing just behind him. Interchangeable are those forward two. Now it's with Gabriel. To his left hand side has Lewis Skelly. Instead goes to Ødegaard. First touch out to his left hand side. Cleared away though in the end by Bree. Through the middle to Stewart, who's been tripped. He goes back instead anyway to Yander. Then to Bragg. Across the middle to Harwood Bellis. His clearance away. Comes back. And it's still with Harwood Bellis. Now across to Wood. On the edge of the area. Taking his time, waiting for the pressure to come to him from Martin Ødegaard. But he can't wait too long. Throughout the first half, Arsenal had a very high press that was causing a lot of trouble for these Southampton players. Down the line it goes. First touch was a flick there from Cienza. Dribbles this inside and he's tripped just inside of Arsenal's half. Wants the free kick to be taken quickly, as the referee just says to drop it back a couple of yards before it's going to be taken. They wanted a yellow card towards Ben White. He was already booked with Manning in the first half. The only booking of the game so far. Got away without a booking in the first half. It was very close to it. And free kick, Southampton again just taking the time. I wonder what's been said at half time by Thunder Ecker. They're 45 minutes away from making this into a historical evening for the hosts. Over the top it goes to the edge of the area, headed away by Gabriel out to the right hand side, but Cienza gets there first. Puts his body in the way and lets it run out of play for a throw-in. Throws it through the middle. Doman can't keep this in play. Linesman's flag stayed down, saying that he did in fact keep it in play, and away come Arsenal with the ball on the right hand side. Ben White down to Jesus. Jesus through the middle. Now to Ødegaard. Turns on the ball onto his left foot. Looks for options down the left hand side. And here we go with Gabriel into Southampton's half. Now Lewis Skelly. Just wants to run there in the gap, but he dribbles it inside and he's tripped. And a free kick now as Fellows stuck out a leg as Lewis Skelly was making his way by. That'll be a free kick for Arsenal in dangerous position, and more defensive work for Southampton to do. 7 corners in